Hello, my friends. This is Lynda Lippin, and welcome to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Pilates Goddess podcast. This is your host, Lynda Lippin. If you listen to Tuesday's episode, you know that today we are not having a brand new recording, but I am re-releasing an interview that I did with my friend and colleague, Tela Anderson, last year on self-care for Pilates teachers. This will be a slightly longer episode than you're used to. As you know, every once in a while I do an interview that goes on a little bit longer. This one will be about an hour, but I think that you will really, really enjoy it and get a lot out of it, whether you teach Pilates, do any other kind of work, because Tela is a single mom. She is a busy Pilates teacher. She has a lot going on. She is one of Alo Move's most popular online instructors, and she has a lot of great advice for all of us. Now, speaking of great advice, I recently was introduced to Laird Superfoods. And I was really introduced to the coffees, the functional mushrooms, and the superfood creamers. Now, I love my coffee and generally drink it black with a little bit of monk fruit sweetener, but the Laird Superfood Mushroom Creamer mixed into my first cup of coffee in the morning with my little whisk thing gives me a little more energy and a little more spark for the rest of my day. And, you know, these were developed by big wave surfer Laird Hamilton, and of course, some input from his wife, the awesome women's athlete, Gabrielle Reese. And they use organic, non-GMO, coconut-based oil and sugar, as well as some functional additions. There's some turmeric creamers. There's some functional mushroom creamers. They also have instant coffee drinks that you could just scoop into your cup and add water to. They have some rehydration drinks that are lovely, some protein bars, and all of these were really kind of tested by Laird and Gabrielle in order to up their energy and have their days go a little bit better and a lot stronger. Are you ready to feel more energized, focused, and supported? Go over to lairdsuperfood.com/goddess and add nourishing plant-based foods to fuel you from sunrise to sunset. And don't forget to use our promo code GODDESS at checkout to save 15% off your purchase today. And now I bring you my interview with the fabulous Tela Anderson.
Hey, everybody. It's Lynda Lippin here from Lynda Lippin Pilates, the Pilates Teacher Mastermind, and Strong Women Over 50. And this week, I am super excited to sit down and have a discussion with my colleague and my good friend, Tela Anderson. Tela was a colleague of mine at Real Pilates for a decade, right? I can't believe
I can't believe it.
Long.
It's crazy. It feels like just yesterday that I met you and I was like, hey.
I know. I've known
crazy.
You through 2 children. Yes.
2 children. Oh my goodness. And one of them is actually about to turn 10. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yes, it's crazy.
We're just feeling our age over here.
You know, we're just getting young. They can get older. We'll just get younger. It's totally fine. I like that way better.
Yes. Tela and I have decided to age in reverse. We've made a conscious decision to do this, and are working daily toward that goal. So,
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. Tela has been teaching Pilates actually for close to 20 years now.
I know, which is crazy.
Yes.
Again, telling my age.
She was a
Um,
competitive gymnast, a performing dancer. She basically came to Pilates with some injuries, like welcome to the club.
I know, right?
Loved it for her own body. Saw the potential for helping other people love it for their own bodies, and here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to fall in love with Pilates when it legitimately saves you from a surgery or actually a couple of surgeries. But in the
Right,
beginning, I started I started my Pilates career not actually being able to walk. And when you can't walk and you are a dance teacher and a group fitness instructor in New York City, you're now unemployed. So,
right, right.
and so I thought, this is the perfect time in my life to maybe try to pursue Pilates because I knew um, that the technique had more longevity, that I could teach it while not being able to walk. But to be honest, when I started my Pilates career, I didn't actually know the full benefits. So it was after I entered my first teacher training program that I realized how amazing Pilates really was. Um,
Yes.
and by the end of my first program, I went into the program not walking. By the end of the program, I was doing all of the advanced exercises, on the chair, going up front, going up side, all of those things that require a lot of leg mobility and strength. So I was completely sold to the method pretty much right off the bat.
Right. And the thing is, as we know, if you can do that stuff in the studio, that means you can do a lot more stuff outside of the studio, which of course is where it really, really shines.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, I really say that the only reason I'm still running, dancing, teaching dance, ice skating. It's 100% Pilates. It really is. I would not be doing any of those things had it not been for Pilates. So, you know.
right. And now you're also a certified yoga teacher, yes?
No, I'm not certified in yoga. I just really love to do yoga.
Ah,
um, I have thought about in the past getting certified in yoga, but usually what happens, I end up just putting more money into some new Pilates, you know,
right.
certification or continuing education.
I end up,
That's
I do the same thing. I flirt
yeah,
with it and I'm like,
yeah,
I think I kind of like you and maybe I could like
yeah.
you in that way. And then I'm like,
It's very fascinating.
nah.
I absolutely love doing yoga, but I don't think I don't know. I just really love to teach Pilates, and I just end up usually putting more
Right.
money into my Pilates education. Oh well,
Now,
maybe one day.
right. Now, you have also pivoted a lot over the past year, year and a half, as we
Yes,
all have. And first was your, pivot to online, obviously. And now you've really kind of completely pivoted into your own studio, into your own space, and into a kind of longer term relationship with Aloe. So
yes, yes.
yeah. So talk a
Yeah,
little
it's
bit about how that's going.
yeah. I mean, it's I know it's been such a hard, year and a half for everybody. Um, And I definitely have felt all of the things over this past year and a half, but there have been some blessings in my life in that year and a half. I decided after commute, when I had my children, I moved from New York City in, I moved from New York City to Pennsylvania, and I ended up commuting a 2-hour commute into New York for the last 10 years, basically.
Yeah.
um, because I loved my job at Real Pilates and I loved my Real Pilates family. But, when the pandemic hit, I really didn't have much of a choice. I had to make a change, obviously. If I can't get to New York City, I can't work. So that made me force my business online. And as I grew that business online, I realized that, commuting to the city may not be feasible or possible anytime soon, which I was right, it wasn't.
Right.
So I decided with my partner that it was time for my own space, which is something that I flirted with for so many years. I've been teaching Pilates for almost 20 years, and it just never ever seemed the right time. A lot of half of my career I was busy building a family, having babies, recovering from babies. I also had a lot of medical debt with said babies. I had some
Right.
emergencies in my journey to children. I had some emergencies that set me back, both with time in my career, but also money wise. So it never seemed the time. And then when my kids were really little, I needed to pour into them. Um, and then all of a sudden, over this during this pandemic, it just was like, I think it's time. Go figure. So I made a really quick pivot, and once I set my mind that I was going to have a physical space, I found one within a month, and that was that. We set into, putting money into remodeling it, into advertising it, and all that, and all the good stuff. And we're still building it. I'm still building it,
Right.
and I'm still building what it will become. Definitely will be some education going on, some mentorship, but it's been a really cool journey, and I'm loving this new phase. It's a lot of learning. There's a lot of upfront, front loaded work, but I'm loving every minute of it.
Awesome. And now I think this is actually the perfect segue, right, into
Yeah.
our stated topic for today, which is self-care for Pilates teachers, as well as learning how to set boundaries. And I, like you, believe that these things go together, because if you're not setting your boundaries, you can try to do all the self-care in the world. And it's
Yeah.
not necessarily going to counteract the negative effects of the overwork and the overwhelm. But if you've learned how to set your boundaries and you're super happy with your schedule and that's all going really well, but you're not actively engaging in time really for yourself, then once again, you're, missing out on kind
Yeah.
of half the puzzle. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that was, those are big, I think in this industry, those are really big lessons to learn. And I encourage everyone to learn it maybe quicker than I did. Um, when
Me too.
I was, right. I was, super gung ho, when I first started my career, and I was so excited. And I made, I think, the number one mistake that teachers make in the very beginning, which is you start to burn both ends of the candle, right? I'm going to work at 7 a.m. and I'm also going to work till 9 p.m. like that. I did that for a few years. I don't recommend it, but I still see a lot of people doing it because it makes sense. You want to build your career, you want to build your clientele, and you think the more hours you work, the more clients you're going to get. But it's not sustainable. I can tell you that because I've suffered from burnout a couple of times.
Right.
And burnout is a really big thing in this industry, and I think it's a big, very big problem. And I can tell you this, you will never be a good teacher if you are burnt out. Just, you won't be. Um,
Right. Because you have nothing left to give to your clients.
you really have nothing. And I can look back at my very first run-in with burnout. I was working for a studio, and I was also a teacher trainer at that studio. And I was also the head of the continuing education program at that studio. And I was working about 80 hours a week, probably 60 of them training people individually. And I can tell you that at the end of that experience, I was still a good teacher, but I wasn't invested because I had nothing like in here, to give you. I was exhausted. I was tired. You start to lose patience, and that as a teacher, you can't do, it's just, that doesn't work. So, um, that was my first lesson in burnout. And what I did then is one night, I was like, I'm done. This isn't working. And I decided to book a 2-week solo vacation to Mexico. Me on a beach. And,
Yes.
it was amazing. It was really the first time I had taken off in a few years after being certified. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I was able to see, you can't, this sort of thing, like in this industry, if you're going to give to others, you have to give to yourself first. You have to fill that cup first. So I had made a lot of decisions on that vacation. I came to the conclusion that it was time to move on from the job that I had. It was time to venture off a little bit more on my own, more of a make your own hours type of thing. Um, Start maybe doing more continuing education type of thing, pouring more into myself than I was into someone else's business. So yeah, that was my first run-in with burnout. Taught me a huge lesson, made a lot of changes.
Yes. And I agree with you. Every Pilates teacher gets to this edge. And I think part of it is that we are literally taught one single model of doing business in our Pilates training, and that is mirroring the studios where we did our training, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
what we see, basically the path is that you finish your training and then you work, for like very little money for somebody for a while to get hours and clients, right?
Yep.
Then the best case scenario is you open your own studio and you sink,
Best case
5
scenario.
figures into equipment
Mm-hmm.
and then you teach by yourself until you can't anymore.
Yeah.
And then you bring in other teachers. You either train them yourself, starting another side of your business, or
Right.
bring in independent contractors or hire employees and start managing other people. Period. End of
Right.
discussion. That's it. We sell packages of 1, 5, 10, 20. Seriously.
Yeah.
And we teach either group classes or private / semi-privates, and that's it. That's all we're taught. So it's always dollar per hour.
Yep.
There is not a lot of room for multiple streams of income that don't require a lot of work and energy on our part.
Right.
And that's realistically the model we're given. That will lead to burnout, period. End of discussion. And
It
it's
all leads to
good
burnout.
that you've had this experience actually before
Absolutely.
you've opened your own brick and mortar space, right? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
And so I had that experience while owning the brick and mortar space.
Yeah. No, you make a really good point. And I always think about that. I definitely think that had I opened a studio, years ago, and especially during the early years of my children, I don't think I would have had any chance of surviving it. So yeah, I definitely did experience burnout early. And I also did experience burnout. I didn't have a brick and mortar studio, but I did have my own business where I was renting space from somebody else with my own clients. But still had the experience of having to be my own secretary, book my own clients, deal with all of the late cancellations, reschedules. And that was my second taste of burnout in a totally different way. I learned that lesson. And I think I love what you said, that the best case scenario when coming out of training is opening your own business. Now, we both know that there are different ways of doing that. But when I came out, I thought you either put in, thousands and thousands of dollars into equipment to open your own space, or you work for someone else. So I didn't have that money. So I just, went to work for somebody else. But, now we're much more aware that there are different ways to open a business. There are different ways to operate a Pilates business, which is amazing. But I didn't have that knowledge then. But I definitely did experience a different set of burnout in trying to own my own Pilates business. Didn't have a brick and mortar studio, but, I also saw how hard it is to wear all the hats in a business.
Yes.
Right. It's really hard. And also not having the separation from clients when it comes to booking, rescheduling, late cancellations, all that. That was another lesson I actually think was even a bigger lesson for me in setting boundaries. Because, when you have a business like that and you are the person doing all the booking, the late canceling, the rescheduling, people are so close to you, right? It basically ends up that you'll get five cancels in a row from the same person. Can I switch to this? Can I switch to that? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I got so burnt out by that. Again, I took time off, and that time I actually almost left the Pilates industry. I was just like, I don't see a way to do this. I wasn't seeing either way. So, definitely, that is when I really learned after that experience how to set boundaries.
And
Um,
it's super important. I mean,
yeah.
as you know, I mean, people who follow me know I have shingles right now,
Yes, and I
right?
hope you're feeling
And
better.
I
How are you
am
feeling?
starting to. I'm still in it, but
Okay. Okay.
I'm I'm in it, feeling the same on half the pain meds. So
Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. They're
I'll
getting
take
somewhere.
that, right? I'll
Yeah.
take that. But my doctor looks at me and says, "You have to stop being so stressed out."
Yeah.
And here I am thinking, I set my own schedule now, right? I'm working from home, but I pivoted, and
Yeah.
everyone knows I've been hustling. I'm doing, tons of lives and tons of podcasting and really getting out there and a lot of networking
Yeah.
and launching and grinding. And even though I feel like I do enough,
Yeah.
because it's so much more than I used to do. Like,
Right.
I routinely get good sleep now, like 8 hours a
Love
night.
it. Nice.
Um, it's clearly not enough, which is
Yeah.
really interesting to me, and something you really have to be careful of, I think, when you really venture out on your own, especially at the beginning, is there
Hmm.
is a lot of grind that goes on, but at least
Right.
it's, for me,
Yeah.
ultimately, which is how I justify it. But sometimes your body just lets you know immediately, like, hello, you're not taking enough time. You're not setting your boundaries well enough.
Right.
Um, and, clearly something needs to change.
Needs to change.
So,
Yeah.
what can people do? What can Pilates teachers even start to do on a daily basis, in terms of setting new habits and just little tweaks to their day that can help us navigate times like this?
Yeah. I mean, my number one is always, I should say, there's two things that I would say this is two things you need to do every single day. Number one, you have to move yourself. You have to get your own workout in, whether that is, with another teacher or moving yourself. And two, you need to set goals for your day. Get up, take some time in the morning. I don't know, it doesn't matter what you believe, but find some type of prayer and meditation routine, whether it's just, getting up and being, what are you grateful for today? Spend some time with that, spend some time meditating or praying, whatever it is you can do, but spend some time in silence and quiet. Especially as a teacher, we're very verbal. We're always, giving to other people, connecting with other people. But I always say, like, start the day. Personally, I start the day with prayer, meditation, and a workout. So time to myself, time with my own thoughts, time to think about my goals for the day, what I'm grateful for. Those are two things I highly recommend. If you're not moving yourself, or if you're not spending some quiet time with yourself, you're just going to be, in my opinion, scattered all over the place. Um, Also, number two, you need to be in charge of your own emotions and aware of your own emotions, because that's going to affect how you come off to your clients, right? So again, it's the same thing, like spending time with yourself, knowing what space you're in before you enter someone else's space or let someone else enter your space. Just being aware, like, okay, you know what, I'm really stressed out today. Something could be happening with your family, your kids, but be aware of that so that you can, do some breathing meditations before you step on that floor, or go to talk to that client on the phone that late canceled 3 times in a row. You know what I mean? Just understand what space you're in before you start to approach other people. Another thing I can give advice to is going off of that, being aware of where you are internally and emotionally, is learning that you don't always have to react to what's going on around you. You can be an observer. You don't have to react to everything. You're going to have a lot of different personalities, people coming to you, different personalities, different things going on in people's lives. I was a teacher of teachers in for most of my career, and there's just a lot of different personalities and things coming at you. So it took me a really long time to realize, but you have to make a separation and learn how to observe things and choose whether you're going to react to it or if you're just going to simply let it alone and carry on. Hopefully that makes sense to the viewers or to someone who's early in their career.
Yeah, I mean, I've even been thinking a lot lately, working with my coaches now about things like I don't even have to react to my own thoughts.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right away. Because frankly, a lot of times our own thoughts are habitual, are reactionary, are, coming from the lizard brain and are not
100%.
necessarily super helpful, right? So it's a lot of times it's good to just kind of sit on those and be like, okay, I don't really have to worry about that right now. I can deal with that later.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that you said that. That was definitely a lesson that I took a long time to learn. And I didn't actually learn that lesson through anything in Pilates, but I did learn that lesson with one of my pregnancies where, everything was out of my control. And, I had suffered some losses, some second trimester losses before my last child. And so I just was plagued by anxiety. And then I was, in a hospital bed for 6 weeks, pretty much not able to even move. So I had to really learn exactly what you said, which was I had to separate myself from my emotions because it was just, killing me. It was like legitimately like tearing me up inside. So I didn't really know if I was going to meet my child, which I did, and he's happy, healthy child now. But definitely learned a very valuable lesson that I now apply to everything in Pilates, which was, you don't even have to react to your own emotions. Stop reacting.
Right. Exactly.
Your emotions you should look at them as tools, right? So they're tools to get what you want. Now, if you just keep reacting to things, you're not going to get what you want. Step away and observe your emotions, and then decide if it needs a response or reaction. And I have definitely learned to turn off that response switch. A lot of things just don't need my attention, or they don't need my attention right away. Speaking of clients, like I was saying before, where I was so close to my clients, they would, oh, Tela, I can't make this time. Oh, Tela, I can't make that time. Could you switch me to this? Could you switch me to that? And I found that it was always the same. It was always the same clients, who did this. Now, they had busy lives, but I think a lot of it was just that I kept reacting to them. I kept reacting like, oh, no problem. Do you want to switch to that? Oh, no. And so it kind of became, it was like Burger King. I was like, have it your way, but that doesn't work when you're trying to run a business, right? Time is money and your time is very valuable. So what I have learned to do when it comes to something like that is to not react right away, right? Like there's a late cancel fee and you need to reschedule, but like I'm not going to jump right away to reschedule this. You think about what you need to get done, you know what I mean? Like, and so just you need to make it clear to your clients that your time is valuable. And so I don't, when it comes, if it's not an emergency, I don't really jump at constantly being here unless it's an emergency.
Right. And I think, and something else that I've been thinking a lot about over this past week, and again, one of my coaches brought this up to me, was what kind of value are we getting from our businesses?
Right.
Right? Because yes, within our business, we serve other people. We give them good value. We give them our energy. But in exchange, we should be getting some value from our business.
Absolutely.
Whether that's increased time off, whether that's better income, whatever that is, whatever we need, our businesses need to be providing that for us.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, I hear Pilates teachers who own studios and employ people consistently saying things like, a Pilates studio can never make money.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that
You
was all
never
I've
make
ever heard.
money teaching Pilates.
That's all I've ever heard. Yeah.
Right? Get your real estate license just in case.
Yeah.
Right? Have something else in the wings just in case. And when I first started talking publicly about making more money teaching Pilates, I got a lot of pushback of people saying, I can't even believe you would say that. That doesn't align with my values as a Pilates teacher. And I was like, but do you not have bills? Like, I don't understand.
It's so but you're so right. It's so fascinating. And I'm definitely looking at the Pilates industry from a different lens right now, right? As I put my business together. And I really have been looking at, I should say, how Pilates is being marketed. Who are the people making the money? And what's fascinating to me is I see a lot of people with barely any training making the most money. And I see, and then I see, people that are just overqualified. They just continue to get more education and more education and more education, and they're not making money. So, clearly we're not being taught what we need to be taught. There's really no reason that you can't make good money. You deserve it. You're giving a good, like you said, you're giving a good service. So what is it in the Pilates industry why is it so ingrained that we don't make money, that studio owners don't make money, that teachers don't make money?
I don't understand it. Partly because, even if we go back to Joe, he was charging the equivalent of $80 to $85 an hour for a private. So, we look at it now and we're like, oh, it was $5. But I'm like, yeah, that was way back when. That's $85 now. Okay. So he was charging a lot. Yeah. He was also, charging for classes. And let's face it, a huge chunk of his clients were extremely wealthy New Yorkers, right? Because he didn't just get the dancers, he got the dance patrons, right? Yeah. When he opened his satellite studio, it was in Bendel.
Yeah.
It wasn't at Alexander's.
Yeah.
It wasn't at Macy's.
Right.
It was at Bendel. So the ladies could, go see their personal shopper, have lunch, and do Pilates.
Right.
It's not, he saw where he needed a chunk of his money coming from, which then allowed him to serve a, less moneyed population in a way that works for everybody. And
that makes total sense.
Yes, it does. And I don't know why. I mean, of all the business things that he did kind of poorly in terms of trademark and all of that, that thing he did really well, right? Which was making sure that Pilates appealed to people who had plenty of money. Right. And then they're paying for stuff that allowed him to be able to work with the folks who didn't have so much money. And that's, what we need to understand is we can give more when we have more.
Exactly. No, that's 100%. And that's really what I see. Like I said, I see two, polar opposite sides, but it doesn't make sense. Everyone agrees that we need to, that Pilates is for everybody and we need to make it available to everybody. But if you're not making money and you're just working around the clock, how do you think you're going to do that? That won't work. So it's like you need to charge what you're worth. What are the numbers that are going to give you the living that you need, the money that you need, the lifestyle that you want, and then then you can go and you can give to the community. But it doesn't work the other way around. You just can't give and not get anything in return. And so I see these super, very qualified, talented, and educated instructors who are giving all of their stuff for free. And then I see people who have, almost no education charging $500 an hour. So,
yes. But, some of that is perceived value. Again, those teachers who might have less experience and are charging and getting $500 an hour are doing that because their clients see the value in what they're doing. You know, some of it is that they're so niched in and so niched down that that really works. You know, I was talking to a personal trainer friend of mine, Sadiq, who used to work at Dog Pound, and we were talking about the specialty of, say, taking someone like Hugh Jackman and building him up to the size of Wolverine, but bringing him back down to the size of a dancer on Broadway, right? Yeah. Which are two distinctly different body types, shapes, and sizes.
Very different, yes.
Now, that is not my specialty. That I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that without metabolically harming somebody, right?
Right.
And I'm glad there are people who do know. But again, that is such a niche specialty, right? Because who really needs to do that? But if you think about it, each of us only needs, like I always say, about 10 clients.
Right.
Because they're going to want to come 2 or 3 times a week. And, you know, by the time you have 10, you've got 25 hours booked, right?
Right.
And for 10 clients, there's definitely 10 people in the world who need that at any given time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
For me, it's osteoporosis, right? Or Pilates teachers who want to pivot and build their businesses. Again, there's at least like 10 of these people
right. Yes, absolutely.
to work with me at any given time. That's all I need.
Right.
That's it. We don't need to all be teaching everybody.
100%. And you don't want to teach everybody, right? How many hours do you really want to teach?
Right.
You know?
And this is where getting connected with other Pilates teachers comes in super handy, right? Because I have a list of teachers who I refer people to, you know, because you're on that list. I've referred clients to you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Because there's stuff I don't do anymore. I used to love teaching diastasis recti and hernia and postnatal. I don't do that so much anymore. I'm more interested in my own demographic of women over 50 dealing with bone density and chronic pain issues, right? So when I get those DR people, I'm like, Tela, Karen, Melissa, you know, I've got my list of folks to send them off to. Most Pilates teachers don't network amongst other Pilates teachers because we're afraid people are going to steal our clients. Guys, I think, you know, I think you'll agree with me here, Tela, that a big part of self-care in our industry is going to be the ability to really start connecting with other Pilates professionals.
100%.
And be able to share clients and share stories and really share things in a way that's not combative and that doesn't just revolve around who trains us and what kind of equipment we teach.
Yes. No, it's I mean, 100%. I couldn't have said it better. I've always been somebody who believed in community, loved to build community. And it's so fascinating how differently some people think about the industry. Exactly what you said, you know, the more community there is, the better the better off we will all be, right? We all have something amazing to offer. We can't all teach everybody. And you don't want to teach everybody. You don't want to be teaching from 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. I've done it. But, you know, you don't want to live that way, and it's not sustainable. It's just not. That's why I think there are a lot of people that get into this industry and then they quickly get out. It happens very often. But here's an example of that, you know, because I left my Pilates community, and my Pilates community had always been in New York, my real Pilates family. With the pandemic, you know, I definitely was like, you know, I'm going to move on. I'm going to do other things. And that requires building a different community, right? A community where I am, where my studio is, my online community. And I heard somebody say, and I like this person very much. I'm just using this as an example. I heard someone say that they were very bothered by other people's social media followers and numbers, and And I thought that's really fascinating because I hadn't actually looked at it that way. I actually just looked at it as like I'm on social media because I am able to relate to people, to build community, to talk to people, to find people to collaborate with. Um, and so I've been looking at it like that. But if you change the lens, most of the Pilates community does really view everything as a competition. Everything is competition. Um, and even when there is no competition, there's competition. Even if I'm working in New York and I can't take clients, to Pennsylvania, it still seems like people are afraid to recommend you or collaborate with you because they think that, like you said, you're gonna take their client. It's not a thing,
Right.
The more people we reach individually, the more there is for the community, right?
Right. If something, if the pie keeps getting smaller, you know what? We can make more pie.
True.
We could just
We can
take
do that.
another pie.
We can do that. We
It's
can
very
absolutely do
easy.
that. Yeah.
So, there's no running out of pie. We're not running out of clients. There's billions of people in the world. There's hundreds of millions of people online, and we're
Right.
not running out of people to serve. We're
Yeah.
really not.
We're not. And there's nothing wrong with, like you said, collaborating, referring. Um, I'm only one person. I've got children that I'm trying to raise as a single mother. I don't necessarily want to do it all on my own. I want to be able to have people that I can collaborate with, refer people to, because I'm only one person. And, my business is set up right now that it can run with just one person. It's small enough that it can do that. It doesn't have to be, it's not a big studio that I need to right away go and hire people. I can take my time doing that, which is, why
Mm-hmm.
I picked the location that I did. But um, yeah, I'm happy to collaborate and to refer. Why not?
Yes. Yes.
You don't want someone to walk away and be like, oh, well, she doesn't have time for me, and so I'm never going to try Pilates, or I'm never going to. No, you want more people doing Pilates, right?
Yes. Now remember, guys, too, that setting setting boundaries is a form of self-care. Self-care involves setting boundaries. Um, it is important that we all are getting something out of our businesses and not just pouring, pouring, pouring in. Otherwise, Tela wouldn't have anything left to give to her kids. I wouldn't have anything left to give to my husband or my dogs, or my clients or my friends. Like there's nothing left in the well, right? We have to fill our own wells. We have to put the oxygen mask on first.
Absolutely. And
And
you want to be able to take some time off. You need days off. You need time off. You need to be able to go take a trip. If you're doing everything on your own and you're not collaborating and you can't refer anybody, you're never going to have time off. It's not.
exactly. And believe me, if you're serving your clients well, your clients will be happy to spend a little bit of time with the person you referred them to while you took off.
Absolutely.
And they're going to be more than happy to see you again when you come back. They're not going to be like, no, we don't want to. And frankly, if you do have clients who do decide they want to switch, great. That opens up space in your calendar for new clients to come in, and they always come. They always
They
do.
do. You know what? It's so true. They always do. For, clients, it's a personal relationship you have with your clients, and not all relationships last forever. Some come in and out of your life, like it's just, it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is, right? And sometimes people need something different, somebody else might work better for them. But 100% in my career, I know that you never, even if you quote unquote lose a client, someone else walks in the door and replaces them. When people, let's say, move away from you, they always refer someone else back to me. It's like it's very much a revolving door. Like there's no, I've never had a door just shut, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you know, it's I think it's something we could do better, but in terms of setting boundaries, you have to have days off. You need time off. You need to be able to do that. So if that means referring people, you need to refer people. You need to have someone who can sub your classes, sub your sessions, and don't be afraid to do that. It's if you like you said, if you've been giving people good service, they'll come back to you. Simple as that.
Exactly, exactly. Because that's what people want. They want that end goal that they're getting from you.
Right.
They're getting to that goal faster and easier than they could on their own. They're happy to pay for that.
100%.
Right. And they'll,
Yeah.
And plus they have the personal relationship, which I think is as deep online as it is in the studio, because it's still spending 2 to 3 hours a week with another human being, one to one.
Yeah.
Right. And
Absolutely.
some of us don't even do that with our family members.
that is true.
If you
I
look
would
at
say
total time.
Yeah. I would actually say in some cases, over the pandemic online, I've gotten even closer to some of the clients because you're being invited into their home,
Right.
Some I have a client who I train her husband, her children are little, and I'm like one of the only people they see every week during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they know me and they kind of pronounce my name, but you know what I mean? They're little, but, so in some cases when would I've always seen, this person's children 3 times a week, right? And gotten close to their children. So, yeah, I think it's definitely been a gift to be able to continue that online.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes to setting boundaries and self-care, I think the one thing that I can, or the one thing I can say has been a lifesaver and game changer is, like you said, putting yourself first, but also putting your personal health first. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, you can't be so busy that you're not eating right. You can't be so busy that you didn't get to move today. That can't be a thing. You have to set aside time that you say, this is my workout time. That's that. It's walled off. You do not book it. Um, and keep that.
Yes,
you know.
yes. And, there's no shame in working with other teachers or working with other trainers or you doing what you need to do. I mean, I
Absolutely.
say this, I say this pretty much every conversation all the time. I hate to create workouts for myself. I
Yeah.
love, love, love to do it for other people. It's one of my very favorite things to do. Hate to do it for myself. So I'm good pretty
100%.
much with Pilates because, I'll just do mat and I'll do,
Mm-hmm.
mat in order and it's fine.
Yeah.
But for my other workouts, I pay for that,
Yep.
I pay
I'm with
to
you.
have somebody lead me through that because otherwise I won't.
I'm with you. And, although my schedule is in flux, I still do get at least one session in with my teacher, Brett Howard, but I also try to get in with at least 2 or 3 other group classes with other teachers every single week. Because otherwise, listen, I do work myself out, but I'm not necessarily as hard as I would work or as focused as I would work when working with somebody else. So I make time for that. I schedule it, and I do not schedule clients during that time. That's it. It's mine.
Right. So remember to do that. Also remember that working even an hour or 2 hours in a day with what we do is working.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't kind of pawn off your, oh, it's okay that I'm working 6 days because on one of them I'm only working half a day. Right.
That
That
might
no.
even that might even be worse, and I've done that. Like totally guilty of that. I honestly think that might be worse
Mhm.
because especially in my life, I've got children to take care of, I've got house to take care of. If you work 1 or 2 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, you're never going to be able to focus on your family or the other things in your life that need attention. You're all over the place. Um, so in my opinion, that's, to be honest, that's even worse, working 1 or 2 hours, 6 to 7 days a week. Just take the time off. Block out those 2 days that 3 days that you need off, whatever the case, and do what you got to do. So for me, what worked perfectly when I was commuting to the city, I would commute 3 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes four. And I chose to work long hours on the floor because it would allow me to be at home with my kids 3 to 4
Right.
days a week. But I was home. Like there was nothing else I was focused on. I was home. I was with my kids. I was in the house getting things done that I needed to do. My focus was not on work on those 3 to 4 days. So, I would choose to work 3 days a week, 10 hours a shift, because then I had those 3 days off, and that was it. I was home, or 4 days off. I was home, and I was with my kids, and that's all I focused on. And to me, that's way better than trying to work 1 or 2 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week.
Right.
I
Right. Even
definitely
if
do
you're
not
doing it
recommend.
from your couch, even if you're doing it from your couch, it
Which
doesn't
I
matter.
did in the beginning of the pandemic. I totally did that. Because, I was, nobody knew what was going on. And I was like, I just have to like take everybody that wants a session. And
Right.
wow, I learned really quick that just don't do that. It's terrible. You need the days off. You need the days off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even if that means that you have to say goodbye to one or two clients because you can't accommodate them on the days that you work. It's
Again,
okay.
new clients will
Refer,
come. Refer.
refer them. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And I'm telling you, the minute you start referring, you'll start also getting more referrals.
yeah.
It's, you could say it's just putting that energy out into the universe and it comes
Hmm.
back. Um,
It does.
but it does
Hmm.
once people start to realize that you are actively connecting to refer
Yeah,
and not just being weird competition. Um,
absolutely.
then people start to do the same thing and then community really starts to build.
Yeah, I really encourage people to do what you do, Lynda, which is, stop thinking of everything as a competition and start thinking that everybody has something to offer to this community, but build the community, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I really think the competition mindset is what's kind of crumbling the Pilates industry from the inside out. And I won't get into that, but um, you know, uh, I honestly think that the competition mentality has a lot to do with some of the pitfalls that you see happening in the Pilates industry. So shift that mindset is my advice.
Yeah, yeah. Shift that mindset from
Yeah,
competition to collaboration, right? Not
yeah,
into how can we be adversarial, but how can we come together in again in the service of our clients, right? And of the people who need us, of which I remind you once more, we all only need about 10.
right.
Okay. So, I mean, think about this. Say you got 100 clients who contacted you tomorrow. What would you actually do with them?
I
What would
mean,
you do with 100 clients if they contacted you tomorrow? Because I could tell you right now, I'd be saying no to 80 to 90%, if not
right.
more, of those clients. So it, be careful what you wish for.
Right.
And then you'll really have to deal with boundaries. And so,
You'll really have to deal with boundaries. I mean, number one, hire somebody. But number two, like you said, you don't really need that many clients. A lot of people will see you 2 to 3 times a week, and you want, um, for me, time is money. So the clients that are consistent, they stick to their schedules, they work hard. Those are the clients that I tend to just, you know, those are the clients that I stick with. And here's the thing: if someone needs more availability, someone who's a little more flexible than I am because I do have a family, fantastic. There are other instructors that maybe don't have kids yet, right? Like I
mm-hmm.
was there. I was a lot more flexible to do different things when I was, let's say, 25 than I am now. So yeah, refer them to them. I can't help you with that, but somebody else can. Fantastic. Maybe they're at the same place in their life as mine, where they also have kids, crazy schedules, soccer mom. Who knows? They need someone with more flexibility. There is somebody out there with more flexibility for you.
Right, definitely. And
So,
frankly, I would rather be able to, comfortably refer
hmm,
and say, like, I really do know that this person does this and, is this kind of human,
yeah,
than just kind of send them off. to Google and Facebook with,
Yeah.
some idea of what they want. And because that never works out well, and frankly, that's how Pilates teachers end up with clients who are not a great match for them. And even though we all like to say that we don't do that, the posts in all of the Pilates teacher forums on Facebook beg to differ.
Yeah, which is very sad. Yeah, it's very sad to see
Several times
that.
a week, someone's asking about a difficult client, about a client they don't love.
You shouldn't have
about,
difficult clients.
Right.
You don't, and I will say that is something that does come with time as well. When you don't have, if you've had a long career and you've had clients that you've had for 15, 16, 17 years that have followed you everywhere, you don't have time in your schedule to open up. So you don't really meet difficult clients, right? But you should never have a difficult client in your schedule. You should be referring them out to somebody else who will fit them better.
Right, because they may not be difficult for somebody else.
Absolutely. And I really have seen that. Yes.
Else.
Somebody else works like that has happened to me many times where
we've seen it happen on the floor at Real, both of us, where actually you've sent somebody to me who was like, yes, and then I've sent somebody to you who was equally like, thank you.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
I can recognize it instantly. I just take care of it right away. Hey, this client should actually work with this person.
Exactly. Personality-wise, schedule-wise, specialty-wise, what they have going on in their body, how they communicate. And, it's just so important and really helps take the load off, because once you start realizing that you don't have to take care of everybody who shows up, that you can refer people out, that you can make your own schedule. It's just like a weight off. For me, it's just a weight off the shoulders. It's just like, okay, yeah. I can, I have some control over what's going on in my life and in my business.
I love it.
So Tela, any last thoughts for the folks watching us?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, exactly what I said before. Make yourself a priority. You are the priority. Start your day off with yourself. Make time to meditate, set goals, be grateful, have goals in mind, move every day. Don't burn both ends of the stick. Been there, choose the amount of hours that you can comfortably work and fill those in. And yeah, self-care is a priority. Boundaries are a priority. And if you do those things, don't make the mistakes I did, or make the mistakes and learn from them. You will have a much happier time in your Pilates career. And it should be happy. We're doing a good service, people. I legitimately mean that I love what I do. I have no beef with what I do. I love it. I love my people. I love my clients. And that's how it should be.
Totally. Now, Tela, you are Tela Pilates on Instagram and Facebook. And then how else can people get in touch with you if they would like to learn more about working with you online or at your studio in Pennsylvania?
Awesome. Pennsylvania, that's to follow. We're almost at opening to the public level. But you can always find me at Tela Pilates on Facebook and on Instagram. I am on Instagram more than Facebook. You can also find me on Alo Moves. Alo Moves is an online streaming fitness platform, and I've got a lot of videos up on there. And just look out for my website soon to come. Not Facebook, YouTube channel with my new business to come, and all good things. Yeah.
All the things.
Thank you so much, Lynda, for having me. It was great chatting with you.
You're welcome. I had such a good time, and hang out for a second while I close. So everybody, thank you guys so much for joining. As always, I am so mindful of your time and so grateful that you choose to spend some of it with me and with my guests. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Pilates Goddess podcast. Music brought to you by Nerd Salad. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts, especially if you liked it. And please like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks.